to WACRA and A Squared E Squared for this fantastic project. Look, it really is a labour of love, bringing this opportunity to students to participate and learn with our hands and hearts about the natural world. I can't think of any more important thing to be working on at this time in our planet's evolution than how we connect with nature, learn about nature, learn how to give back to our planet, and also explore creativity in a way that is truly creative, not just using artificial intelligence and the other tools that we have at our incredible technology, but actually getting back to basics and what it is to be a human, and what we're required to be a human successfully is, to me, very much connected with community, with creativity, and with connection with nature. And if we can get those things right, as well as those fundamental essentials for life, then we're doing pretty well. We somehow seem to forget the basics. We do know, so yes, Trees for Life, as you probably, many of you would have heard of Trees for Life. I'm sure many of you have been volunteers. We exist to restore and create habitat for all the species that rely on trees and understory and having healthy ecosystems. Trees for Life's been in South Australia for nearly 45 years, and it's very important work, and all the environmental groups that are working either at a state scale or at a regional and local community scale, I think are really critical, so get behind environment groups. I was going to ask everyone to just stop and take a breath. It's a big breath, and just breathe in and breathe out, nice slow way. We sometimes forget to be intentional about our breathing. And then say thank you to the trees for being the lungs of our planet. Through this magical process that's called photosynthesis, trees somehow convert sunlight and water and carbon into oxygen and food for themselves. It really is magical, incredible what nature does for us. So we do know trees are essential for life, and Julie's outlined many of those things. Home for wildlife, shade and shelter for people and animals. They cool our cities, they keep our soil healthy and stabilise all the magic that goes on underneath our feet because of the roots of the trees. And just being around trees makes us feel better. I think, Lara, your inspiration from your grandson, I certainly enjoy sitting near a tree when I need some inspiration and calm. And our Ghana friends speak of red gums, or Kata, as supermarket trees, for all the amazing things, the gifts that are provided from those trees, just one species. All the things, products that can be made from coulalons to canoes and shields, all the medicine, the different foods, the wildlife that lives in there, and of course that spiritual connection, which is so important to people, to our humanity, is to have some connection with something bigger than ourselves. And I was going to share a little bit about what trees represent to me in a bigger, sort of deeper connection, because that's some of the inspiration from that artwork as well, and I'll weave a little bit of that in, because I often use the sort of symbol of the tree to think about cycles of life. There's deciduous trees, which obviously aren't native to Australia, but they're very obvious in that sort of cycle of life, and birth and rebirth and then renewal, and then we go through those times when we go quiet and children have to hibernate, and I think there's something really powerful about that. But let me just go through my little story and see if you resonate with any of it, and I'm sure you find your own meanings in some of these. So firstly, the seed and Trees for Life. When we introduce people that aren't very familiar with native revegetation or the natural world, and they see our seed bank, it's quite incredible to think that out of something so tiny, for those of you who've ever seen a red gum seed, it's like a speck, almost like a speck of dust, and out of that tiny thing grows this incredibly large tree that can live for hundreds of years or maybe even thousands. So that possibility and hope that comes from that's such a tiny thing, and the possibility of life and the possibility of creativity and the possibility of so many things. And they remind me of out of little things, big things grow. So that's, I guess, something that a seed brings, and the diversity of seeds that we have too is incredible. incredible in our South Australian native species. And they really are like, you know, just looking at some of the layout, the colours and the shapes and the textures, that incredible diversity and beauty there. Of course, the first thing that a seed does when it starts to spring to life, and I'm not a scientist, so any scientists will critique my use of language, but they put down their roots. And that root structure underneath trees can be phenomenal, often bigger than the actual canopy that we can see. So that reminds us not only the importance of strong foundations, but also that all the important things in life aren't always visible to the eye. There's that little quote from anyone studying Le Petit Prince, the Little Prince, and famous quote from Saint-Exupéry of all that is important is not visible to the eye, or something similar. And it also reminds roots that we need to stay grounded and to connected to the earth, and that sense of we need that stability in order to flourish. The trunk, or the trunks, as many of our native eucalypts in particular are multi-stemmed. They speak to me of the strength of diversity. The outer part of our trunks are covered in so many different types of bark, different textures, some are smooth, some are rough, different colours, and some are dark and some are light. So it reminds us that we need all the trees in the forest to have a healthy ecosystem, just like we need diversity in our communities to be healthy and to thrive. The branches represent growth, reaching for the stars, being comfortable on our own journey in whichever twisted or straight shape that goes. And I really loved reading one of the little stories out there about the trees. Someone spoke about the hollows in trees, which are obviously critical for wildlife, and we need old trees, which is why it's devastating when old trees are destroyed to provide those hollows, but it provides room for mistakes. And I thought that was a really lovely reminder that we also need that space to be able to learn and grow and to make mistakes. I love those boab trees out there and all the things they represent. And when we went to the Kimberleys, a family, a few years ago, I did a little photo series with the Kimberleys and representing their grandmother tree, or the, you know, all the different things, their shapes that remind us of. So they're very whimsical. And yeah, congratulations for the students for those incredibly powerful pictures out there in so many different formats as well. And the canopy finally reminds me to see the big picture, to be like the bird or the eagle or the bird that can sit in the tree and look at everything and survey and then swoop down into the detail and grab what it needs, but also to enjoy movement and flow and creativity and think about all that beauty and flourishing. And of course there are flowers and fruits and all the other things that we can talk around the symbolism of trees. So yeah, I guess, you know, wanted to just try and connect with the feeling of those beautiful artworks. Congratulations for the inspiration you brought. It's fantastic that you've been able to use so many different mediums, and the sense of people being able to connect in their creativity and artwork with sort of being very present with the work as well and using different mediums to explore that. So congratulations to everyone involved in this. It's very beautiful to be able to offer this to the community, and yeah, long may you continue to bring this opportunity to the schools of Western Suburbs. Thank you.